Are you on the fence about taking microdose because you're afraid that it might hurt you? Well, my name is Jason, and I'm going to talk to you about my experience microdosing since the passing of my wife. And so, if you saw my last video, I reintroduced myself just to explain a little bit about me. But one of the things that I really want people to understand that is a part of my life and a part of my identity now is not only just that I use marijuana, medicinal and recreational, but that I do microdose. And the reason why I want to be outspoken and talking about it because I feel like this is something that a lot of us can be benefiting from, but we're so afraid to use it because the media, Hollywood, all of these images we're seeing about microdosing, medicinal mushrooms, magical mushrooms, whatever you want to call them. We're seeing that they're drug users or these are people that's just going around crazy. Like if you ever saw the movie Super Troopers, they made you think you eat mushrooms, you're gonna start licking the glass in the car or just being a complete idiot. And the truth is, it's nothing like that. Anybody who knows me personally, and if you know me personally, you know like I'm pretty well put together, I'm pretty strict and regimented. But not only that, I'm a very conservative person. One of the big misconceptions people have about me is just because I like to travel the world, they think that I'm this big liberal type extrovert person, like I'm just out here all out and about, I'm going to clubs doing these things. It's not the truth. I prefer to be at home by 5 p.m., preferably early, and also I don't like to go out that much. I go out when I want to go do stuff, but also I plan when I go out too. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. I plan a lot of my day because I do a lot of journaling and scripting. But one of the things I enjoy most is actually reading books, believe it or not. And this is one of the books I'm reading now, Believe in Yourself. And you would think it'll be like some motivational hype you up, but it's actually talking about the subconscious mind and reprogramming things that were instilled in us from birth or from genetically from previous family members from generations in the past. And it really had me thinking, but also with doing the microdosing, it's had me do a lot of self-reflection. And one of the things that's been self-reflecting on is my inner talk, like how negative am I being? How am I controlling my attitude? Like these are all things that I have control of in my life and you have control over too, but we were never taught emotional, good emotional health or a good positive attitude. School don't teach us these things. They tell you like, oh, you have a bad attitude, you need to fix it. But they don't walk us through the steps of how to fix it. And it's funny because I'll be honest with you, if you would have asked me this December last year, I would have told you like, yeah, I got a very positive attitude. I'm a very positive person. But it was funny because seeing now with the passing of Cece, with her transitioning on to another form, the next level of life, it showed me that I was still a negative person because I did not handle that very positively. I was pretty pissed off, pretty negative, had a bunch of negative thoughts in my head on a 24/7 basis. And those negative thoughts started manifesting themselves within certain areas of my life. And so I realized I had to start changing these things. I had to start fixing this. I had to start working on myself more. Not only working on myself more, but I can no longer have my self-identity tied up in the image with someone else. Meaning, a lot of my self-image was being a husband to Cece, and that was it. Like I didn't really care about being a son, being a brother, being a friend, being anything else in the world. It was just, I wanted to be the best husband to her, and that was the only self-identity that I cared about. But I didn't realize by putting that image on someone else, I was still harboring a lot of negative thoughts and feelings inside. And it took the transition of her to help me realize that. And so I just want to read this one passage from here, and this is Believe in Yourself by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And he says, make a choice now. Begin to think constructively and harmoniously. To think is to speak. Your thought is your word. Let your words be as a honeycomb, sweet to the ear and pleasant to the bones. Let your words be like apples of gold and pictures of silver. The future is the present grown up. It is your invisible word or thought made visible. Are your words sweet to the ear? What is your inner speech like at this moment? No one can hear you. It is your own silent thought. Perhaps you're saying to yourself, I can't. It is impossible. I'm too old now. What chance have I? And that was really deep to me because I was reading this today actually while I was getting my manicure and pedicure. It was really interesting to me because I kept asking myself, I'm like, who am I now? Who's Jason? I had no understanding of what I wanted to do in my life next, where I wanted to go in my life next. So I was making a lot of bad decisions. It wasn't a lot, but for me, making bad decisions, like I don't really have time for too many of them. But even with the fear of trying to get back into dating, trying to understand this, I was going in it with a self-identity of, I lost my wife, I'm trying to replace her. I wasn't trying to find out who Jason is at this moment and what type of person he wanted in his life. And those are two different things that you're gonna come up with. So like, as I was meeting people and they were good people, but I was getting irritated. I'm like, damn it, this isn't Cece. Like, this person isn't Cece. Like, oh, you're annoying me now. And the truth was, it was my fault. Because inside my head, I was still just talking about missing Cece, wanting Cece back, just wanting someone to feel that role that she was feeling in my life. And that wasn't the right thing. That was negative self-talk. So I've been these past few days really journaling and scripting about what do I want? Who am I? Because I can't build a relationship with someone if I don't know who I am. And it's been really interesting because I've been realizing now that I don't want a relationship. I don't want to be married again. Not sure if I even want to have kids, but I know for sure that I don't want to be married in any traditional sense of going to a courthouse or anything like that. One of the reasons is I just don't see the value in it. And the second reason is, what a lot of people don't know is because the way me and Cece had the finances worked out, most of the stuff was in her name, her account. And look, we wasn't nowhere in our mind. We've always talked about this day happening, but we never thought it would happen. If you understand what I'm saying. So the non-belief of it happening, we wasn't prepared for it. And so I ended up losing a lot from it because if you're not familiar with the financial woes of when someone passes away, if things are not set up properly, it goes to probate, meaning the courts get a hold of it. Now you got to pay lawyers, you got to pay all these court fees, city fees. It becomes expensive. So I had to just let it go. I walked away. One of the things that I learned early in life after fighting with the military to get my disability pension and everything is some fights are not worth it. It's just not worth the headache. And going broke to fight the government or fight lawyers and all of this. So I was just like, you know what? Fork it. I'm letting it go. That's it. I'm done. I'll start over, but I'm starting over from a better place than I was in that moment, which is really good. But so with that being said, is like, now that I know more what I want, these past 3 days, I've been probably the happiest I've been since last year. Meaning since, her passing, because I pretty much count this whole year as like our first half of this year, I had like a veil over my eyes. I couldn't really see nothing. I didn't really understand what was going on. But now I'm starting to realize who I am, the type of man that I want to be, how I want to show up in this world. I've been meeting some very great people, some great connections, really, really good people out here in South Africa, man. Like I can't express that more enough. Like one of the Uber drivers, he just messaged me one day. He's like, "Hey man, just wanted to see how you doing and how you're getting along out here, making sure you don't need anything." And I was like, wow, it was like just loving, and it was really cool. And I was just like, "Hey man, I'm doing really great, man. How you and the family doing?" It was just a good conversation. One of the guys I met at a vegan restaurant when I first got here, he texted me the other day like, "Hey man, once you get settled in, let me know so I can show you around. You've been missing from the continent for a long time. It's time for you to start seeing how your home is." And like all these little things, people asking me to go out to a bar, or go out to these places, and it's been really cool. And I've really been seeing like, wow, man. Now that I'm focusing on being happy, happiness is coming to me. I'm attracting it. And just to show you, like one of the things, like I've started realizing, I started scripting. I was like, what type of things do Jason want to do? And I was like, I want to be doing entrepreneurial stuff, of course, but I want to be doing charitable stuff. So also I want to start building my own clothing line, plant-based cash cow. You heard it here first. But also like I just want to start doing things that I've never done in the past. So one of the things that I'm doing next month on August 13th, there's a Miss South Africa event here in Pretoria, the city right over. So I said, you know what, man, I'm going to go. But not only I'm going to go, I bought a VIP ticket so I can go backstage, be able to talk to people, network, get to know people. And I'm like doing stuff that are out of my comfort zone. And I'm seeing that I'm getting happy, I'm smiling more, and I'm just really enjoying life again. And not only is it by reading the books, but it's because of microdosing too. Because if you're not familiar with microdosing, like it's really good for your neural connectivity. Now look, I'm not a scientist, so I can't give you all the scientific reasons of what it's doing to your brain. But I can tell you, for me, it helps me think different. It helps me analyze things different, and it helps me change my perspective on a lot of things. And so just to give you an example of how it does that, one of the things that I know I want, and I've been journaling about, is I want a Bugatti. I want to own a Bugatti. I am a Bugatti person. I know once I go to one of those Bugatti meetings, they're gonna be like, you know what, Jason, you are a Bugatti driver, so you can buy your Bugatti. And so one of the things that I did here, I ended up at one of the vegan restaurants. They have like a comics store in there too. So I said, you know what, let me see if they got a model Bugatti. And look what I found, a model Bugatti. And so I ended up buying it. And when I bought it, the guy at the cash register, he's like, yo, that's a Bugatti. I was like, yeah, man, it's a Bugatti. And then we just talking about how, like, even if you have the money to buy a Bugatti, you can't just buy a Bugatti. You got to be accepted to be able to buy a Bugatti. And it was just a really good conversation. But one of the things that I'm doing now is every day I wake up and I look at the Bugatti when I first wake up. But also, like, I move it around in different places in my apartment, change it in different areas. So I'm looking at it from a different angle each and every day. And it was funny because when I did it today, this little red, white, and blue there, I didn't even know it was on there. And I've been looking at this thing for like 2 days, and I just realized it today. And that just shows, like, sometimes we need to change our perspective. Sometimes we need to start looking at things a little different, even if it's scary, because you never know. Like, I never knew there was red, white, and blue on the car. But once you start seeing the new things, you don't take it away. Like, now that I know that's there, I see it each and every day. And think about it if it was part of your life, because, like, I can tell you personally, until I started seeing Chantel's departure from my life as something positive, I was only able to see it as a negative, depressing thing. And now I'm able to smile, and I really am happy when I say I'm happy. So, like, it took me changing my perception and even using the microdosing to help me do it, because it helped started me thinking different. It helped started me realizing, hey man, you're not happy with yourself. Because if I was happy with myself, I wouldn't have let my weight get out of control, which is not even out of control, but for me, if you know how strict I am with my eating, it's out of control for me. And so I wanted to just share that with you because, like I keep saying, like, a lot of us have been lied to about what healing looks like, what grief looks like, but also what success looks like. It's about accepting our failures, accepting our mistakes, and learning from them. It's not about perfection. There's nothing perfect in this world. But if you look at the world, because of these imperfections, it's getting better each and every day. You go back, 100 years ago, people would have just dreamed about being able to go across the world, for a vacation. At those times, people couldn't just afford to fly and do things. You go on a long cruise ship, like, hey, you're gonna be gone for a couple of months maybe. Now we have the ability where people can just fly to Vietnam. I was able to just fly to South Africa. Also, like, just using YouTube, we're able to just see things that we could never see before and connect with people that we were never able to connect before. Even here, as I'm doing this video and posting it to YouTube, there's people who are gonna watch this from who knows where in the world, that just a few years ago, they would have never known Jason. They probably would have thought going through the same thing that I'm going through, and they would have felt that they're the only person in the world going through it. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I want you to see, like, this is what it looks like, but also you're not alone at this. We're all suffering from something. We're all going through something. And the problem is most of us never talk about it. We never talk about going through the pain, but we also never talk about how we're getting help through the pain. And this is why a lot of us are just still suffering in silence. And this is something that it's time to stop, as the new world we're going into is, it's ready for us now. But now we got to get ready for the new world we're living in. And so I hope you got some value from this. And just remember, hey, today's a great day. I'm doing great. And I see great things in your future today too. So have a great day, and I'll see you on Monday.